This is a Power 98.7 podcast. Now we're talking. Subscribe to Power 98.7 podcasts in iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. There's more on power987.co.za.
Those are the sounds of Dr. Tu Nokwe, just at the back of our interview with her as we mark Heritage Day, Heritage Weekend, Heritage Long Weekend. And that was a song by Dr. Tu Nokwe called Ubuntu. And this is how then we're looking forward to taking you into the last stretch of the Power Zone. We're hoping that you're well. We're hoping that you're looking forward to this particular public holiday. And as we start this week, it's going to be a short week for some people. We thought, hey, we started with Monday motivation because even in this particularly short week, you still need to position yourself to get the best out of it, right? This is why we invited author and chairperson of Dads in the Picture, this being Zibuse Kunene, to help us look at the possibilities of life this morning. Just living a no-limit life, having that no-limit mindset. We look at how this works. We look at the various things that you must understand if you're going to have a no-limit mindset. We're looking at rewriting the script, right? Where all those so-called rules in life then tend to become meaningless. So we're looking forward to just taking life as it comes, but positioning yourself to get the best out of the challenges that you experience, but also see an opportunity in positioning yourself through those adversities, right? So this morning we thought Zibuse Kunene should come through to help us speak about this particular topic at home. You're welcome to form part of this on 0861 987 000. Zibuse, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Ketleko. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Can't complain, and thank you for the promotion earlier to doctor.
I was like, take it, man, take it. You just never know. Weird things happen in these hours. So I may just be seeing something there, in the spirit,
Yeah, no. It's there. It's in the plan. It's the confirmation.
Yeah, no, man. From our mouths to God's ears, and hopefully everything just works out as we look forward to just positioning ourselves to get the best out of life, which is why we thought we should just start Monday, our week with you this morning. Look at those possibilities. Look at how then one becomes just positioned for those limitless kind of encounters with life, where then you rewrite and keep rewriting your script as much as you can, just seeing adversities as an opportunity in this regard. But one can say that, hey, when you're going through the most, all of these things don't become clear.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing that you made that intro. Now, because when we think about things that we can achieve, we always put the limits on what we can do ourselves. And that then becomes the limits that we put. But then there are limitations that are there in our lives. And those limitations are things that we have restricted ourselves from doing. Let's take, for example, what apartheid did to black people, what women oppression also did to women, in that those things, those external circumstances, they put limitations on black people, on women, right? And therefore it told them that they couldn't go this far. It placed a limit on their capabilities, on their achievements. But as soon as those things were moved out of the way and there was emancipation, there was freedom, there was empowerment, then people realized that all of those limits that were placed upon their lives were actually pseudo-limits, which created limitations. And therefore now they realize that we can actually do it. Now, when we think about limits, let's think about your speed limit. It tells you that this is how far you can go, and it has been set. But when we talk about limitations are restrictions that are placed upon us. And it's limitations that we can also push against. And in pushing against those limitations, it pushes us to achieve greater things than we have ever thought that we can. If you think about yourself, did you ever think that you would, when you were a young boy growing up, did you ever think that you would get to this level where you are impacting so many lives through radio? Possibly not. Even on TV? Possibly not. But now here you are, you realize that you could conquer the limitations. So we cannot allow ourselves to be bound by limitations.
Most definitely, especially when then you tend to, it just becomes dark, right? Whatever is thrown at you, you don't see it as an opportunity, but you see it as something that is just limiting. Because I guess one would say again that it's fear of the unknown, right? Because you don't know what tomorrow then holds for you, but you work with that hope, right? You work with that faith, you walk in faith, and you ensure that you position yourself and you develop also that attitude that would then help you see the best in whatever adversity that is thrown at you. How does one then navigate this particular space?
It's beautiful that you're now touching on the fear of the unknown. Think about walking into a dark room where you can see nothing else. You can't even see your hand. If you just opened the door and stopped, you would only end up there because you are afraid that if you take the next step, you don't know what's there. But it is only in taking the next step that you discover there's probably nothing here and there's nothing to be afraid of. It's only when you start taking each step thereafter where you discover what you are capable of. And the thing is, when you enter a dark room from a place of light, your eyesight takes time to adjust. And when it takes time to adjust, by the time you are in the darkness, your eyes have adjusted to the situation where there's low light. Even in life, that's the same thing. When you're faced with situations, if you go into that situation and thinking, I don't know what lies on the other side, and you always want to know, you always try and pursue knowing too far ahead, then you will not go far because you need that faith. And as we know, that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So if you take faith and you apply it and you say, let me take the next step and allow my eyesight to adjust to the situation of darkness, then your eyesight becomes better. It becomes better adjusted to that situation. Even in your life, you come back, you look at your life, you say, I don't know what tomorrow looks like, but at least I know that I'm here today. I know that I'm here now. I know that I'm taking this opportunity. I know that there's this thing that's facing me now. Let me deal with what I can see. Let me deal with what I know now. And as you start dealing with what you know now, other things start coming up and revealing themselves. But it is only because you would have taken that step of faith, not even a leap, because a leap means that you jump. You can't jump to what you don't know. And so the best thing is take the step. So let's think about somebody who's planning to unalive themselves and they do not see any hope for tomorrow, or even because today is the 25th of September, they do not see how the day is going to end. The only thing I would say to that person, and what I can encourage that person to do, is don't focus at the end of the day. Focus on the next hour. What if the solution came in the next hour? What if your breakthrough came in the next hour and you are not there to see it? So just keep breathing for the next hour. Just keep waiting until the next hour. And if the day ends and nothing has happened, then probably tomorrow something is still going to happen. I know that probably you'll wake up tomorrow and you'll be angry that you're alive and that, you're still going to face the things you're facing. If you are here now, face that which you are looking at right now. Don't even bother thinking about the next minute. Just right now, that's all you need to do. Take the next breath and let's focus on that.
Yeah.
And once you are here, let's keep that going.
I wanted to come in there to say, while you're talking about taking a step of faith, we're looking at giving yourself that chance to try. And maybe one can say that with all of the issues or the challenges that one tends to navigate, the hardest that would give you a knock would be loss. For instance, navigating loss. How does one then pick up the pieces to say that, I don't know what lies on the other side, I'm leaving for the moment, but how do you start over? How do you pick yourself up from loss, looking at the endless opportunities that life gives to you that would see you pushing to ensure that nothing becomes some sort of a limitation, but here you are experiencing something that maybe one, you were not ready for, two, you just particularly cannot imagine your life without this particular person, but you're having to navigate that particular loss and pick up the pieces.
Yeah, you see, loss is a really, really, really difficult one, because we tend to become accustomed to that which we eventually lose. And we plan our lives oftentimes around that and around that person. But when they're gone, that part of our lives is no longer there. And what I always tell people is, don't try and be strong. Don't even go there. When the emotions come, when you feel those feelings, just surrender. Just allow yourself to go through those feelings. Allow those feelings to come through and feel them. And if you feel like crying, if you feel like, sometimes what we do is we tell people, no, but you can't say that to God, especially for those of us who are believers. You can't say that to God. You can't do that. No. Sometimes you need to say certain things to God, because God understands where we are. God understands the level of our faith, the level of our pain, and He allows us and gives us that space to do that. So when you need to say, I don't understand why you allowed this person to die. I don't understand why this person is dead. I don't understand, and I don't agree with it. It's okay, because you are expressing what you are feeling. But intrinsically, something in you believes in God, believes that that which has happened needed to happen. And once we then have gone through the stages of expression, we can then start allowing ourselves to accept that things have happened, because there's no point in resisting that which has happened. We're just going to be fighting against the inevitable. It has happened. So let us accept that this has happened. And once you accept, you allowing yourself to now process the grief and go through the mourning period. And when you allow yourself to go through those stages and you don't resist them, you're allowing yourself to heal and talk about the loss as much as you can, because it is in the talking about it that you then allowing yourself to heal and put it out there. But when you start keeping it inside of you, then it becomes this thing that is amplified within yourself, and it seems bigger than actually how it is. Because as people, we do have the inclination to amplify either pain or past experiences. But when we are in those experiences, we need to just allow ourselves to go through them. And before we know it, with each day, with each year that it comes, the pain gets better. The memory is still there. But gradually, because we've been talking about it, We no longer cry as much as we used to. We find ourselves talking about the same thing 5 years ago, 5 years later, and people say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and then you kind of brush it off and say, "Thank you," but then you keep moving. You are no longer as hurt by it as you were initially. So acceptance plays a very big role in accepting loss.
Yeah. And also then, Daddy, how does one balance it out and create some sort of a way that works between one being confident or overconfident in that regard, one being humble in their approach to life, one pacing themselves in a way that they won't crash because you are now over ambitious and you are living your life and you've created and you've positioned yourself to say, I'm a limitless person. I want to take this approach to life. How do you then balance that ambition as well, looking at the reality of the day that you can't be the jack of all trades? So we're seeing you being confident. We're seeing that humility aspect then tending to fade away. We're seeing you trying to pace yourself, but then it's a challenging terrain. You're trying to push yourself because of the fact that you've challenged yourself to start over. You're ambitious, but then also you can be over ambitious because you find yourself wanting to go. But then also reality will tell you that no, you're not the jack of all trades. How do I balance it? How do I not limit myself where all of these that I've mentioned is concerned?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And it always takes skill and emotional maturity to navigate all of that. When you look at it, you can be confident, but the moment you start becoming too confident about something or in something, you make mistakes because you're thinking, I can do this. And then you immediately jump into it. You miss big things. You miss the signs. You miss the clues that are there. So overconfidence borders into then being arrogant. And arrogance is another topic that we don't even want to go into right now. But we need to regulate ourselves, learn to regulate ourselves. But all of this starts with one thing. It starts with being emotionally mature. It starts with being emotionally aware of ourselves, what happens within ourselves, what are the conversations that we having within. So if you're always this person who's talking yourself up, who's always saying that I can do all these things, you're relying on your own strength, you're relying on your own confidence, you are overinflating your sense of self-worth, then be careful, because then that also will lead you to pride. And as we know, pride comes before a great fall. And if you tell people that you are humble, already you've lost the aspect of being humble, because those people who are truly humble, you see in how they treat other people. Let me share a story. I was once in the presence of a billionaire, a South African billionaire. That gentleman, I respected him so much, and I still respect him to this day, because it was in how he treats people around him. There was never any sense of saying, I have made it and therefore I am this big. He always allows himself. He's way much older than I am. He's basically a father to me, but he always humbles himself. He lowers himself and is willing to learn from those who are seemingly lesser than him. And that's when you see somebody who's humble. You feel their energy. Equally so, people who are prideful, people who are boastful, people who believe that they can do everything, they tend to go into spaces and do things and mess things up. And then what they also do is they tend to blame it on others, because there is no sense of accountability in them. So you also need to have that sense of accountability about you.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is something that is very poignant, especially when you look at how then you want to reposition yourself, rebrand, rewrite the script, as many would say. Life presents you with those opportunities. You need to also check yourself, pace yourself, read the room. I guess that is something that is very, very important. But go, right? Just get up and go. Just keep going, because really nothing is impossible. And like you said, one day at a time. Don't take that leap of faith. Take that step of faith. It will take you somewhere, right? But the plan is just to position yourself and just gather that mindset of saying that amid all the troubles of life, loss, and the likes, accidents, and everything else that you may encounter in your journey, just position yourself to get up and go, right? One day at a time, just get up and go, right? That is what I'm taking away from this, Daddy. Just your parting shot, and let our listeners in on where we can find you as well.
All right, thank you. So I am on TikTok as Zibuse Kunene, and I am on Facebook as well as Instagram, and Morning Thoughts Morning Thoughts by Zibuse L Kunene on Facebook. That's where you can catch me. And for those who are following me, the installment of today's Morning Thought is going to be posting just very soon.
Daddy, it's always lovely to have you on. We learn, and learn.
You've been listening to a Power 98.7 podcast. For more podcasts, visit power987.co.za or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.